Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to a brand new edition of LinkedIn Live here on LinkedIn News India. My name is Ankit Vengurlekar. I'm the managing editor for LinkedIn News India. And we have an extremely exciting and enlightening LinkedIn Live here for you today. It's a brand new year, so happy new year if you're tuning into us for the first time this year. I surely hope you're not. And this is a new year, especially for cryptocurrency and personal finance. So today's discussion is going to revolve around Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that are seeing an absolutely unprecedented, yes, the one word that we've not had too much of in 2020 already, completely unprecedented surge, rally, and also volatility. So we're going to discuss all things Bitcoin. This is an interactive session, which means if you can see the comment section, I seriously urge all of you to participate in this conversation and make it a two-way street or a three-way street, because the two-way is already Nischal Shetty. So we're going to have Nischal Shetty, the founder and CEO of WazirX, India's largest cryptocurrency exchange, on. But before that, for the uninitiated, let's quickly take a look at the definition of what cryptocurrency is, of what Bitcoin is. So we have these definitions up here. Bitcoin is essentially a digital or a virtual currency that was created way back in 2009, right on the heels of the global market crashes in the US that started in the US. This uses peer-to-peer or P2P technology to facilitate instant payments. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about Bitcoin, for which it has equal number of fans and equal number of naysayers, is it is not controlled or regulated or governed by any corporation or any government, which is what gives it that air of mystique. It's not the only cryptocurrency out there. In fact, there are plenty of other cryptocurrencies that have been inspired by Bitcoin. There's Ethereum, there's Litecoin, and there's so many more than I can keep track of. Okay, let's take a look at some of the news headlines that we have seen, because in the last month and a half, literally towards the end of 2020 and at the beginning of 2021, Bitcoin has seen a massive rally. For context, before March 2020, that's right, just when the entire world was going into a lockdown, the value of one single Bitcoin, which is this virtual digital cryptocurrency, the value of one of this was $20,000. And towards the end of 2020, within a matter of 8-9 months, the value of one Bitcoin surged up to $35,000, $40,000. In fact, some of the biggest newsrooms are saying that Bitcoin could hit $1 trillion in market cap, etc. And the biggest financial houses and analysts are going extremely bullish on this. So spike after spike after spike is what people are talking about. At this point, let me bring in Nischal Shetty, the founder of WazirX, a man who hasn't stopped smiling all of 2020. Hey, Nischal, do we have you here?
Hey,
How are you
Ankit.
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I think today those smiles may have sobered down a little bit, and we'll talk about the market correction that has happened today. But Nishal, first up, for the uninitiated, what is WazirX? What does a cryptocurrency exchange do? Can you please talk to us about that?
Sure. So, you hear about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and so many more. And the first thought that comes to your mind is, I want to participate. And if you want to participate, what do? You have to go and buy your first Bitcoin. So we had similar problems back before we launched our product, that we wanted to buy our first Bitcoin. And we looked at platforms in India, and we realized that there was nothing up to the mark, and that's why we launched WazirX. Now, what we do primarily is, if you want to buy Bitcoin, you come on our platform WazirX and you put a buy order, because the only way you can buy Bitcoin is if someone's selling it.
Mhm.
So on the other end, we attract people who want to sell Bitcoin. So one of the misconceptions people usually have is, we are an exchange. So an exchange means we do not buy and sell Bitcoins. We facilitate. We
You're a
help buyers
marketplace.
and sellers. Yeah, we're a marketplace. So we facilitate. So it's our job to attract the buyers and the sellers. Now, once you put a buy order for a Bitcoin, if someone on the other end is ready to sell at that price, we match the order, and then you end up buying your first Bitcoin. Similarly, after a while, you want to sell your Bitcoin. So you'll put a sell order, and there'll be someone else who wants to buy it. They would end up buying, and you'll get the INR in your WazirX wallet, which you can then withdraw to your bank account. So we do this entire process of you being able to buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin also, because there are many times where people say, after I buy, what then? You can store it in WazirX itself, and you don't need to do anything till the point you want to sell it. So this entire process of your cryptocurrency management can be done within WazirX. That's what we do today.
That's fantastic. So WazirX itself is a Mumbai-based startup, so to say. You proudly put the beta badge on your website. WazirX is still in beta mode. Started in 2017 out of Mumbai. Fantastic growth story, and got acquired by the number one crypto exchange in the world, Binance, in 2019. How big is your team, and who is managing this entire India's largest crypto exchange?
So we are, about 50 people right now, and I run as a CEO of WazirX. We are we did start in Mumbai, but the whole pandemic has led us to, again, like many other software companies, become more distributed. So our team has dispersed. Many have gone to where they live, and we are all remotely working, and it's turning out to be good. So we operate remotely today, though Mumbai is still headquarters for us.
That's fantastic. Okay. Along with Nishchal, I'd like to talk to all of you as well who are coming in here, watching the live and commenting. So, number one, I'd like all of you who are watching this, if you have any investment in Bitcoins or any other cryptocurrency, I would love to hear that from you in the comments. So please go ahead and write, yes, I have Bitcoins. Yes, I have Ethereum. Yes, I am rich. You can go ahead and flaunt and write that as well. A quick question to you, Nishchal. Before joining or before founding WazirX, you are the founder of WazirX. Did you actually invest in or buy or purchase any Bitcoins or any other cryptocurrency?
My entry into the whole crypto world was way back. In fact, my first crypto was not really something that I bought. I was gifted Bitcoin by my friend. This was way back in 2012 or 2013.
I want friends like that, Nishchal.
I think it was also the fact that it was not that expensive. I don't have such friends anymore either. But yeah, I think in 2012 you could find friends like that. So yeah, it started with getting it as a gift rather than me purchasing. And over a period of time, I've been involved on and off. But I really got deep into it in 2017, end of 2017, when most of India also got into Bitcoin. I think 2017 was the year for, yeah.
Right. In 2017, I think it had a major rally, right? That is when it went up to this absolutely otherwise unattainable $20,000 for one Bitcoin mark. Okay. So Swati Agarwal here is saying, yes, she's invested in Bitcoin and Ethereum both. Well, congrats, Swati. I'd love to know, what's your strategy? Are you a day trader or are you a hodler? I'm learning so many new terms when I was researching about Bitcoin and crypto. HODL is the way you write hold. Or somebody who's in it for the long term, and not HOLD. And all of it literally just came in 2013 as a typo by some dude who was writing on a forum, and he was possibly high, which is why he misspelled it. Okay. So Sushavan is writing, he's also into Ethereum, TRX, and fun. I don't know what kind of fun you're into, Sushavan. Is FUN an acronym for any other crypto, Nishchal?
Yeah, it is. There is a crypto.
Okay. That's too much for me to learn. I'm still learning here. Okay.
There are over 8,000 cryptocurrencies. So it's okay if you don't remember. Yeah. So if if you don't know all of them.
Okay. So I have a bunch of questions, and again, to the viewers of this LinkedIn Live, please write your comments or your questions here, and we're going to try and get Nishchal answer all of them. So explain to us, Nishchal, what happened in 2020. March 2020, you have one Bitcoin around $20,000. And by the end of the year, you have one Bitcoin close to $40,000. What led to this absolutely incredible surge and rally in Bitcoin? And then the second part of the question, today, literally as of today, the 11th of January, 2021, we are seeing a 15 to 20% correction in the price of Bitcoin compared to the rally that has happened in the last couple of weeks. Why does this happen?
So let's look at the first part. Why the rise in prices? And there are several factors, but a few macro indicators or macro factors have been. The first is the Bitcoin halving that happened in May 2020. So what is the halving is, if you've heard of the term mining in Bitcoin, you realize that
Mhm.
there are Bitcoin miners who get a certain number of Bitcoins every 10 minutes when they mine a new block on the Bitcoin blockchain. And that number got divided by half in May 2020. And this event happens every 4 years. So what that means is that the new supply of Bitcoin in the market gets divided by two every 4 years. So
Okay.
this led to like a supply crunch in the market because new Bitcoin, the rate at which it comes, gets divided by two. So that was the first indicator that there is going to be a pressure in the uh, uh, supply of Bitcoin, and that will drive the prices up. Also, to remember that Bitcoin is limited in supply. That's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. So when the supply reduces, the price increases. So that was one of those large factors. The second was in 2020, globally, there's been more regulatory clarity, I would say, not regulations, regulatory clarity, in the sense in the
Mhm.
US, in the UK, these countries have been more or less debating on how to regulate crypto. Whereas, let's say in 2017, 2016, the debates were whether to regulate it or not, whether to even allow it or not. So there were words of ban and everything being used very, a lot in the media in 2016, 2017. But in 2020, you don't hear about a ban. You hear about how to regulate and what direction. So this regulatory clarity brought in a lot of confidence in your large investors,
Mhm.
especially the institutional investors, which is why one PayPal, for example, one of the largest financial players in the US, decided it was time for them to offer Bitcoin to their customers. So this again put a lot of supply pressure on the Bitcoin supply in the market, because PayPal had to buy Bitcoin from the market to offer it to their customers. You could not, like, move your Bitcoin to PayPal. They would buy that and they would offer that in their market. So that was the second thing. The third was there were these large hedge funds, which again, thanks to the regulatory clarity coming in, decided they also want to be early movers. So there are these large funds which have invested 400, $500 million worth into Bitcoin. So it's not small money anymore. In 2017, there was small money, more retailers. This time, it's large money, institutional players coming in. And the beauty of institutional players is they don't come in for the short term. They usually come for a 5 years, 10 years period, when institutional money comes in. So that again led to a supply crunch. So I think these are some of the factors. Apart from that, the fact that the global pandemic in the market, people started looking at the whole inflation that's happening globally because of the currency printing. Like, for example, a stat, if you look at the US dollar in the last 8 months of the pandemic, about, I think, 28% or 29% of the dollar in existence was printed in the last 8 months. So you know
So
what that does to the supply of money. It's
it values
inflated.
the currency. Yeah.
Yeah, it devalues. Now the problem is, how do you de-risk yourself from such a inflation? Is you go to a deflationary asset, which is again Bitcoin. So all these narratives, for some reason, happen to happen in the same 8 to 9 month period. They could have happened over the last 4 or 5 years, and you could have seen a gradual rise in price. But I don't know. Fortunately, unfortunately, it all happened in a short period of time, which led to this sudden surge in the price of Bitcoin. So that's how
And
all of this happened. Now,
okay.
coming to, I was not prepared for this question because it just happened
We'll
today.
come to we'll come to the fall because it's a brand new development. It's
Yeah,
literally 12 to 18 hours old. And so the list of questions that I'd shared with you earlier, that obviously did not factor in what's going to happen today morning, right? But if you can see the question that we've got here, Yogeshwaran is asking Bitcoin or Ether, I'm guessing that's short form for Ethereum, which is more efficient, even though I think the comparison is unfair because in the cryptocurrency world, Bitcoin is referred to as the king and Ethereum is referred to as the queen. I don't know why this genderification of the currencies, but what do you have to say about that, Nishchal?
uh, see, look at Bitcoin is more like a asset, and it's more seen as digital gold, whereas Ethereum is like your global supercomputer where anyone can run their code on the Ethereum blockchain. So
Wait
these
a
are two
second,
different.
pause. You said digital
Yeah.
gold. So are you actually equating Bitcoin as a savings or an investment instrument akin to gold and not a currency or a dollar or a fiat currency replacement?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you why. The initial narrative and the reason why Bitcoin was made probably was because we Satoshi Nakamoto wanted like a online cash, um, compared to the offline cash system that we have, which is peer to peer. But by the very nature of it being deflationary, because you have limited in supply and currencies usually are inflationary, so that the values remain stable. You don't want a 1 rupee note that suddenly, when you go to the shop, is worth maybe 2 rupees or 50 paise, because you don't know, then you can't transact in that. So that narrative in the last 5 years has shifted to Bitcoin being gold. And it is right, because just like gold, it has all the properties of gold and much more. But ultimately, the limited supply and the deflationary nature of Bitcoin makes it a new age digital asset. So in the offline world, if you have gold, in the online world now you have Bitcoin. So that's how the comparison is today.
Okay, so you were saying Ethereum is more of an infrastructure ecosystem that you buy into compared to what Bitcoin is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like if you want to run decentralized applications, you run it on top of Ethereum. So these are two different. Now that it's your, it's your narrative. If you see that digital gold becomes a thing of the future where everyone wants to have it, then you need to buy some Bitcoin. If you think decentralized applications become a future where no one entity owns any of the apps that you use, maybe Ethereum is the one. So it's all about what you believe the future will be.
Okay, got a quick question here from Srinath Vasudevan, who's asking something which plenty of people, ever since this massive rally happened in December, have been wondering. How can you actually go and study more about cryptocurrency for a budding enthusiast who's interested in crypto? And because that education is important, awareness is important before investment, right? Don't go in blindly. Don't go in because everybody on your family and friends WhatsApp groups are saying, oh my God, Bitcoin liya kya, invest karna, and all of that. And also platforms like WazirX have really made the denomination of entry much easier, right? What is the lowest value that someone can invest on WazirX, Nishal? Is it 1,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees? What is it?
No, it's about at 500 rupees you can buy. It was actually less.
You can get into the market.
It was at, I think it was 100 or 200, but then the Bitcoin prices increased. So now our minimum increase, we are going to get it lowered. We want to get it back to 100 rupees. But right now you can do it with 500. So it's
what resources would you suggest, Nishal? How can people gain awareness? I mean, YouTube and Google is full of tutorials, etc.
Yeah. So see, I think it's a really good question, and it's something that everyone encounters, because you can Google, but then you get so many narratives, so many, you don't know. It's just someone gaming the algorithm. So what
fake news or what the propaganda of the person.
Yeah, exactly. So what we've done is we've partnered with quite a few of these online education portals and provided that on our blog. So you can go to blog.wazirx.com and you can look for some of our partners. So instead of us also building our own narrative, we decided let's partner with a few third parties, and you can go and search and probably learn from there. And in general, I think the other thing, like you said, don't just jump into trading. What I usually tell them is 500 to 1,000 rupees. Try to buy your first Bitcoin in that small amount. Look into the market, study, and then sell it also. So complete a cycle. In that, you will learn a lot. By this small investment and buy, sell, hold it, you'll understand how this whole thing works. It's always easier to practice.
Absolutely. Practical better than theory, right? Okay, Hariharan Muralidharan's asking a very relevant question. A lot of people are asking this, are clueless about this, because there's so much conflicting and frankly very scary information floating about on the interwebs. What is the taxation when you sell Bitcoin? Because it's an investment, you've sold it, you've booked your profits, the money is sitting in your bank account. What's going to happen? Is the government and IT department going to come for all those gains that you've made? What's the taxation right now?
See, there's no clarity right now, but I would suggest that if you've made any profits, you should pay the income tax that you usually pay on profits that you make anywhere else. There's no special provision today. So just pay at the highest tax bracket that you're supposed to pay for your income in that year. I think that's the safest approach. Hopefully in the future, there will be more clarity. But right now, I think, always pay your taxes. That's the most important.
Always pay your taxes. Very important. Okay, Dinkar is asking an interesting question, and I completely understand if you were to suggest and recommend your own platform, which is WazirX, which is the safest platform to buy Bitcoins, but also help me understand, and if you can give an industry-wide response to this, and I'll let you give your own personal pitch why people should buy on WazirX as well. But how does one ensure that the platform that they're using to trade or to buy or invest any cryptocurrency is a legitimate one and not a fly-by-night person just waiting to flee with your money.
No, definitely you can use WazirX at Safe, but I don't want to push on that. I think this is a very, very relevant question. In fact, one that I'm also personally always motivated to educate people on is you're right. Anyone can build a crypto exchange. Anyone can build a website where they say they can offer you cryptocurrencies, because we are in an unregulated market today. Unlike your banking sector where there's regulation, there's no regulation in the market. So anyone can do it, which is one of the reasons why we are pushing for regulation, so that this is not the future. But right now, what you have to do is you have to research. So one of the things I tell people to avoid is just don't go and Google how to buy Bitcoin and the first website. Just don't simply go and put your money there. You don't know how long that website has been. So do some research. The beauty is today you have social networks, including LinkedIn, for example. Look into the founders, the background of the founder, their profiles, how active they've been, and then you can take an informed decision. So I think the founders behind the products that you're going to use in the crypto ecosystem become very, very important. The second is your friends and family. If now we are in a stage where there will be at least someone in your network who's bought Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies before. So just ask them what platform they've been using, how long they've been using. The other is you can go to the Play Store, App Store, look for reviews and ratings. That's another key thing. But I think the number one is founders. If you can see real founder behind products and how long they've been at it, I think that's a great thing. Usually what happens, anonymity is where all the problems come in. If the founders are social out there, I think it's more or less easier for you to decide.
Definitely. I'll share my personal anecdote when I got into exploring Bitcoin, etc., because I completely fell prey to the hype around it, and friends, etc., were doing Sunday webinars on what is Bitcoin and how to invest in it. And that's when I started researching, and WazirX came up. And when I saw Nischal Shetty, I was like, wait, why does this person look so familiar? Where have I met him? I have such a poor memory. But I remembered in 2013 or 14, I was hosting Forbes 30 Under 30 event when Nischal was actually one of the recipients of being an amazing entrepreneur under the age of 30, and Forbes was felicitating him. And so I know Nischal has been at it for years now. And I know how to reach him. Now I have his phone number. So I'm very happy using the platform if anything goes wrong. Okay, let's take a look at this question, Nischal. There was a question about, this is the fear that I spoke of, right? The messages that do the rounds on WhatsApp groups, etc. Your investments in cryptocurrencies will be shared with income tax department, and the government will usurp all your money because it is illegal. So 2 questions here. I'm adding one more, which a lot of people have been asking. Is investment in cryptocurrency legal? Is the trading legal? And is income tax department sitting with a telescope to see who's invested in it?
See, it's completely legal. If it was not legal, we would not be having this discussion out here, or I would not be so open about it. I would not do anything illegal. So it's completely legal. The thing is, the confusion comes, I think it's a valid question though. The confusion comes from the fact that it's unregulated. Something that's unregulated does not mean it's illegal. It's just that eventually, even we as an industry hope that, and we are pushing for regulations to come in, just so that the industry becomes more, I would say, cleaner in terms of participation and everything, and people follow a set of rules. But until then, it's an unregulated.
Okay, looks like Nischal's internet just decided to go for a walk this Monday afternoon. Well, keep sending in your questions. The thing that Nischal was talking about, and that is something that we were speaking in our pre-interview as well, is the lack of regulation doesn't really put the question marks on the veracity of cryptocurrencies. We're just going to wait for Nischal to come in here, but I would love to hear from all of you in the comments. Please light up the comments and let me know how and where you made your first cryptocurrency investment or purchase. And I'll start with myself. It was literally less than 2 weeks old. So it is something which is completely fresh, and which is why I'm super excited about reading a lot more about it, meeting people and talking to them virtually, of course, these days, given the pandemic. So I spoke to a bunch of friends who are heavily invested in this, and of course, good people like Nishchal Shetty. Okay, there was a drop. I'm going to just flash this comment here, and then we're going to come back to it. Lokesh Reddy is asking, why was there the 20% drop in the price of major cryptocurrency last night? Literally. Right? I mean, of course, the thing about crypto exchanges is they run 24/7. They don't really follow the clockwork the way your regular capital markets follow. So trade keeps going on 24/7. We will come back to this question once Nishchal is back and he manages to log in and fix his internet. Let's see what else. Rajshekhar Reddy, your question has already been answered. It's completely legal owning, purchasing, and investing in Bitcoins. I think in the Indian context, we are waiting for clarity on regulation from the government. Okay, I'm just going to see what other comments we've got going here. Taxation, we've already spoken about. Yes, this session is getting recorded. Just Pranav's question, I'm flashing it out there so that everyone will know as well. Every time we do a LinkedIn Live, the video gets saved on the LinkedIn News India page. So you can always go back and refer to it and share it with all your friends and your members. Who regulates Bitcoin? Omang Khurana has asked a fantastic question. If my director Pushkar can actually bring up the slide where I had shared the definition of what is a Bitcoin. Pushkar, if you can hear me, then that literally talks about what it is. And at the beginning itself, I had shared how Bitcoin is not owned by any particular corporation or individual or government. Bitcoin is, as you can see on your screen right now, it's a digital or a virtual currency created in 2009 that uses peer-to-peer technology to facilitate instant payments. So it's not owned by anyone. It follows a distributed ledger blockchain backend. And that makes it slightly difficult, or quite difficult, for most people to understand, because capital markets or the stocks that we invest in, we are used to a certain structure, that this is a certain business, it's a certain company, and basis what they produce and what they sell, it affects their standing in the capital markets. Okay, just checking if Nishchal is back up. Hey Nishchal, we missed you, man. Everything okay with your internet over there?
Yeah, I never lose my internet. It had to be today, and at that time when I was streaming, so I just changed it.
That's absolutely okay. Yeah, it's a pretty frame. I like the posters you've got in the background as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quickly flash this one question while you were gone. A lot of questions are coming in. Which account is best for Bitcoin trade? I'm guessing. Which account?
I think he's probably asking for the platform.
Okay.
From WazirX,
right. So Nishchal's already answered this, and you can go ahead and talk about. Okay, let's take a look at what Anshum Gulati is asking. Sir, if it makes a digital asset, then why is it not legalized in India? This actually takes off from the last bit that you were talking about, where we are waiting for regulatory clarity in the country, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, see, I think usually some perspective is important. We all use Ola, Uber, we use Airbnb. So none of these are sort of regulated today. Anyone can build a company like that, but does not mean they're illegal. So the thing is, just because it's not regulated does not mean it's illegal. Regulated. Breaking any.
Oh man, looks like Nishchal's internet is having the Monday blues. Radhika asks a very, very important question. Nishchal, if you can hear us, Pushkar, if you can just get Nishchal's window back up. Oh man, looks like he got dropped out again. Given the value of Bitcoin that has grown exponentially over the last couple of months, is it a good time to buy at this point? Are we expecting it to go up, or is this a bubble? And is Bitcoin expected to drop in value going forward? Very, very pertinent questions. And frankly, anybody who has answers to these questions is a very valuable person. I'm hoping Nishal has the answers to this. Hey, Nishal,
Hey,
I
so
understand network is misbehaving itself. That's okay. I hope you can see this question, and it's a good one from Radhika. You want to take it?
given the value
Is
of
it a good time
Bitcoin,
to
so
buy now, considering the price is at such a high?
see, I think I'm not the right person to recommend to buy or sell. But I'll tell something that people usually do is they spread out their buying. So you don't buy overnight. You go over let's say a few weeks or a few months, depending on what's your strategy. If you're looking at let's say a 5-year holding period, and I would suggest you to look at this long term. So then buy over the next 6 months, so that you don't have to worry. Don't make it like a I'm going to buy Bitcoin, all my money I'm going to buy it all today. Let's say you want to invest 50,000 rupees, buy 10,000 for the next 5 months, 10,000 rupees every month for the next 5 months, and hold it for a year. So take that strategy of a spread out buying over a monthly basis. That's always good, because what happens, it's 40 today, let's say it's 60 or 70 in a couple of months, you're still bought in early. And if it goes down to 20 also, you have more money to average it out. So that's the usual strategy that people take, uh, unless of course you're a short term investor where you have to think about the next 2 to 3 months return. That again, uh, it's very hard in Bitcoin. It fluctuates, which comes back to our first question that Ankit, we were discussing about why the drop. We never came to
Right.
that, and I remembered
Yes.
it. I didn't bring it up, but
No, no,
if
please
we
share. Please share. That was as good a time as any other. So, just for reference for everybody who's just joining in, we're talking about Bitcoin, which saw an absolutely amazing, incredible rally towards the end of December. One Bitcoin that was about $20,000 in March of 2020 surged up to $35,000, $40,000 towards the end of 2020, and now early 2021. But just last night, almost as if to add a twist to this script and the conversation that we can have today. Just last night, there's been an 18 to 20% drop in not just Bitcoin, but all major cryptocurrencies. Naysayers are saying, I told you so, it's a bubble, there is correction, this is not sustainable. And people who are in it for the long term are saying, hey, now is a great time to actually get into the market. So, Nishal, what do you say?
see, so if you look at the history of Bitcoin also, in the short term, it's always been very, very volatile. And it's not a surprise, because this is a new asset class. And what the markets are doing is trying to find its pricing, the Bitcoin price. What's the real price for today? So it's always hard to get. And that's why the wild fluctuation, apart from the fact that it's also still a very small market relatively, it's just close to $1 trillion. In the grand scheme of things, like gold is worth about 13 or 14 trillion dollars market. So we are still a long way off from being like a large market. So what this leads to is a lot of short-term wild fluctuations. So it's nothing to be surprised about. But when you look at long-term, the last 10 years history of Bitcoin, in a 3 to 4 years period, Bitcoin has never lost money for anyone who invested. Like the 2017, let's take the 2017 peak we talk about, which is 20,000, close to $20,000. As on today, you still made a gain. If it's about $35,000, so you made a large gain in a 3-year period, which is way better than most other investments that people make. So look at a 4 to 5 year time zone for Bitcoin. You won't have to worry. If you look at the, let's say, the daily fluctuations, it can be crazy at times because of the size of the market and it being so early. 10 to 15% fluctuations are probably normal now to a lot of people in Bitcoin.
Okay, okay. A lot of people are asking about newer sort of currencies as well. Views on Dotcoin, also something called Pi, PiCoin or Pi Network. What is your general sort of position on newer cryptos, newer currencies that are coming in here? Pi Network, yeah. So, do you generally suggest that one should stick to the bigger sort of tried and tested models? Because while you said Bitcoin is relatively new and the markets are trying to figure out what it should be priced at, one knows so much more about Bitcoin. It came out in 2009. There are only 21 million Bitcoins out there in the world that there will ever be, no more, no less. And there's just so much more dissection that has happened on it. What do you think of Pi Network or Dotcoin or so many other new things that keep coming?
Yeah. See, the thing is, Ankit, look at this as websites, for example. There are so many websites out there. Anyone can make a website. So creating a cryptocurrency is not rocket science anymore. You can do it in
Mhm.
5 minutes. Um, so what used to happen before is people were like, "Oh wow, there's a new cryptocurrency," and that was treated like an unknown thing, that it's not
Mhm.
possible for everyone to build it. But that's not the truth. Anyone can build it. There's no technical genius anymore. Um, but the problem that occurs is if you do not get enough people to use it or to know it and hold it, then there's no value. It's worthless. It's like
Mhm.
words have meanings only because all of us agree to it. Otherwise, it's meaningless. So that's the same with cryptocurrencies. If there are no specific use cases to them, or they're not popular, they're not used by everyone, they're virtually useless. So I would say be very careful investing in new cryptocurrencies because anyone can build one, but not everyone can grow it and make it useful and get the right kind of use cases for that. So while
Got
you
it.
might hear a lot of names, I would say deep research into understanding why it is built. And one very important thing, there's only going to be one Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, now you cannot compete with Bitcoin because I cannot bring another gold for you. Gold is gold. So Bitcoin is Bitcoin. There's not going to be a competitor to it. The others are going to have their own use case, like Ethereum, what we spoke about. It's a global supercomputer you can think about. So there are many different use cases. Just go deep into it, research. Don't just believe someone, um, because there's also this, I would say, motive of some people is to spread it so that they think it'll hold more value eventually. But look at the use cases of the cryptocurrency. Are they useful in what way? I think that's the
Got it.
question to ask.
What is the use in the long term? Also, I think a lot of people ask these questions about trading, etc. When to know when to sell, when to know when to buy, etc. I think one would ask people to use similar logic that they use for rest of their investments, right? Which is you study, you research, and only once you are convinced, you decide whether you want to invest in this particular asset class, and then whether you want to hold or whether you want to trade, right? I want to ask specific questions about WazirX, Nishchal. In fact, there is a question here. Let me bring that up if I can. And that is about, yeah, Hariharan is asking, what is the name WazirX and what is its meaning? I mean, the word Wazir, to my mind, it is the queen on a chessboard. In Hindi or in Urdu, Wazir is that. So what is WazirX?
That's correct. That was actually the inspiration, the queen piece in chess. And our idea was that the whole world of cryptocurrency. It's more like you need to have a way to navigate this whole ecosystem, and we wanted to provide like the most powerful uh, you know piece of the chessboard is the queen piece. So we wanted to give you a powerful platform where you can make any move, and that became Wazir, and X is for the exchange. So we made it Wazir X. It was, yeah,
Ah,
that's right.
interesting. Okay, I want you to quickly respond to this. And I'm sure you hear a lot of such, critical comments. Then is saying you can never liquidate or encash bitcoins in India. RBI doesn't recognize it as legal tender. Interested buyers can buy online and park the amount in foreign banks abroad in countries where crypto is legal. One may buy properties or lead a lavish lifestyle there after profitable liquidation. First question, is Nayan correct, accurate, or is this what we can classify as misinformation?
Yeah. So yeah, this is again, I would say a misunderstanding of what is the law in India today. You can liquidate. You can sell your Bitcoin. Like you can do it on WazirX, and that INR you can transfer to your bank account, and the same way you can also buy back. So there's nothing stopping you from selling your Bitcoin for rupee and getting that rupee in your bank account. So that's not a problem. I think the other part of the question is about more like the use case. So what I think Nayan is trying to say is that you can send the Bitcoin to someone else or abroad, and maybe then encash it in, and you have that money stashed abroad. But the thing is, when you buy Bitcoin, you have to first buy it on an exchange, and like for us on WazirX, we do a KYC. So it's not anonymous. It's not like we take cash and get it done. That's not allowed. We don't take cash at all. It's purely from your bank account. So there's always a trace. So if you're thinking of doing something illegal, please don't do that. I don't think that's the way to go about it. But there are so many legitimate use cases that people use it for, and that's how it will continue to grow. But everything is traced. Your KYCs are there. So if there are any illegal activities done, definitely the governments will get to know. Don't do any illegal activities, and then there's nothing to worry about.
Absolutely. I'm glad Achal has just responded to that as well. Yes, you can liquidate Bitcoin to INR and file that amount as income from other sources in your income tax and file it and pay tax on it. Okay. Quick questions before I let you go, Nishchal. How has 2020 been for WazirX? Along with the global rally that you have seen around cryptocurrencies, how does India rate when it comes to number of active investors in cryptocurrency? I read some number where it said it's around 1.8 to 2 million Indians that are invested in cryptocurrency. Is that the correct number? How does India rate on a global leaderboard? And how has the year been for WazirX?
Sure. See, for WazirX, this has been 2020 was a great year for us in terms of growth. We grew over, I think, 1,000% in terms of our trading volumes, and our signups kept doubling from March when the whole Supreme Court lifted the banking ban on crypto in March 2020. Ever since, we've been growing at a tremendous pace. I think we are close to a million users, or I think we hit a million users now, and it's been a tremendous year. And I look forward to 2021 being even better now that the last 1 month of the crypto ecosystem has been great with Bitcoin prices going up. In terms of India, how I see this is India is probably not yet in the top 10 countries in crypto, partly
Oh,
because
not
of
even
this.
top 10?
No, not yet. Also, because of the regulatory uncertainty out here in our country, in between, we had this banking ban for 2 years. A
Right.
lot of, I would say, trouble was created for the ecosystem, unfortunately, which is why we've been slightly behind. But I've been making sure that as a country, we go ahead in this tech. We cannot afford to lose. But in terms of users, there are about 6 to 7 million people in India who have either bought Bitcoin or traded in it or interacted some way or the other, because it's been there for a long time, right? India, I think 2012, 2013, a lot of Indians I know started understanding about crypto. It started from then. So yeah, 6 to 7 million Indians would be a safe figure. It might be higher, but I'm just quoting a safe figure. So yeah, we are there. But I think the thing is, I tell people every time that as Indians, we are usually, at least what history shows us, we usually late to the party. But then when we arrive in large numbers. So I think the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see maybe 40 to 50 million Indians getting into the crypto ecosystem if things continue in the right direction. So let's hope for that. It'll be interesting to see.
And what are the chances, or what is the probability of government, because these news reports keep emerging every few weeks or months, that the government's going to basically render all cryptocurrency holding in India as illegal? It's going to shut down crypto exchanges. Blockchain as a technology is something that they are very, very interested in using, in public services and goods, etc. But cryptos might completely be shut down. Is that something that keeps you up at night and gives you sleepless nights?
Maybe if we were to discuss this a few years ago, 3 years ago, maybe it was a little bit worrisome. But now, knowing what I know, I see that how can India think about banning it when the US is thinking about regulation, UK is regulating it, China, our neighboring country which we compete with so fiercely, is testing things out in the crypto ecosystem. How can we ban it and stay away? In fact, we are a country that has always been ahead in technology in terms of
Correct.
either even usage or even providing services to others. So I don't believe that will happen. These are all just confusion that exists. But as there is the government looks deeper, they'll realize that a lot of things can be done in the right way in crypto. You can also eliminate or maybe control the negative use cases that people talk about, like anonymity and all through KYC.
Transparent and visible to everyone.
Yes, exactly. So in the early days of tech, there's always confusion. But eventually, once everyone understands, there will be regulation. So I believe regulations will come, and that's perfectly fine, and it should come just for the good of the ecosystem in India and to prevent all the, I would say, negative use cases that might exist. But I don't think I worry too much about anything beyond that.
Understood. Well, for context, the World Wide Web internet is just about 30 years old, and there's still so much misinformation and confusion about the internet and the way it works and products and services and apps. So, for a product that's barely 11, 12 years old, this is a lot of momentum that we're seeing. Okay, last question before we call this, we draw the curtains on the Nischal is 2021. Lot of wild predictions out there in media, on public discourse, on social media. Bitcoin's going to hit 100,000. Bitcoin's going to hit 200,000. What's your overall perception, or what's your overall idea on the ecosystem? What kind of levels is Bitcoin going to hit? Every other day on CNBC, International, Bloomberg, we have some of the other big people coming in and making projections and predictions. And then there's like, oh, wait, Elon Musk might stash all his company's money in Bitcoin or in cryptocurrency, and that's going to see a massive surge. Get in now while you can, etc. It's just a super hot topic for people to fabricate things around. But what's your prediction like for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the top currencies for 2021?
See, I think I don't know the timelines, but I recently told about this. Like, I believe that, and when the general consensus seems to be that 100K for Bitcoin, $100,000, is something that's achievable. Though the time frame cannot be really put in. It might happen in 2 years, 5 years. You don't know. But I think that's the path that Bitcoin seems to be driving towards. Now, again, like I said previously, don't rush into it. There's no need to jump in immediately. First, learn, understand, put a bit of money, and then slowly maybe spread it out and get in. There's no need to rush in. I think that's all I can say. And 2021, I believe, will be even better than 2020. Looking at how things are going, and let's hope it is better than 2020, because I think most of us want to forget 2020. So let's hope for the best.
I understand. Well, I hope you, your family, loved ones are staying safe, staying healthy, Nischal. Cannot thank you enough for taking out time on a Monday afternoon, despite patchy internet, to come here and answer all the questions of LinkedIn members. And I hope that we make this a regular feature. Let's say at least once a quarter, we should catch up and talk all things crypto.
Sure. Thanks a lot for inviting me here, Ankit. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nischal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We had Nischal Shetty, the founder and CEO of WazirX, India's largest cryptocurrency exchange, where you can basically buy and sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and so many other coins that I don't even know the names of. I just learned today there are more than 8,000 cryptocurrencies that one can buy and sell. I hope this was a good session for you. Keep following LinkedIn News India page for this and many, many more such engaging sessions. Every time we come up with a new session, we put out a post, so you just have to set the reminder on. And keep the conversation going. Keep it nice, keep it clean, keep it healthy. Thanks so much and have a very good day.